next we will be studying regarding state machine notations. Now these state machine notations is all based upon the finite state machine that I showed you here. So this is basically called as a state diagram or a finite state machine, and each of these, the arcs, the states have to be defined, and that is why we will be studying the state machine notations. So there are various parameters in the state machine notations, and the first parameter that we have is the input variable. So here all the variables that originate outside the sequential machine will be called as the input variable, and all the variables that exit the sequential machine will be called as the output variable. Coming to the state variable definition, the output of the memory or the flip-flops will define the state of the sequential machine, and basically the state variables are the flip-flop outputs. Next we have the excitation variable. Excitation variables are the inputs to the memory, and the state variables are functions of the excitation variables. So we can generate the excitation variables by the input combinational logic that is operating on the state variables and the input variables. Next is the state. So this state is defined by the content of the memory, and when memory is realized with flip-flops, the machine state is defined by Q outputs. You know that when we use flip-flops, the outputs will be Q and Q bar. So that is why if memory is realized with flip-flops, the machine is defined by Q outputs, and each state of the sequential machine must be unique. Moreover, the state variables and the states are related by the expression 2 to the power x equal to y, where x is the number of state variables, that is corresponding to the number of flip-flops that are being used, and y corresponds to the maximum number of states that are possible. So sequential state machines are a unique combinations of the state variable, and each state must be distinct from the other states. I have shown you the FSM state diagram, right? So you could see that the two states that were present was one was locked and another was unlocked. So clearly both the states are distinct from one another. So next we have the present state and the next state. So there are several methods that are used in clocking the flip-flops, and edge triggered clocking is one of the preferred scheme, because the flip-flops can be changing the state only on application of the clock pulse, especially the edge of the clock pulse. So to distinguish the state variables before and after the clock pulse, what we have done is we have represented the state variable as x, and xt is represented as a state variable before the arrival of the clock pulse, and xt plus 1 is the state variable after the arrival of the synchronizing clock pulse. So in this figure basically will illustrate the idea of the present state and the next state. So present state means the status of all the state variables at some time t before the next clock pulse. So if I consider the present state, say one of the clock pulses are already applied here, so this will be the present state. This is the status of all the state variables at one particular time t before the next clock edge. So the present state or the status of a sequential circuit memory is a reference point with respect to time, whereas the next state corresponds to the status of all the state variables at some time t plus 1, which represents the next state condition. And the next state of a sequential machine is represented by a memory status after a particular clock t. As I mentioned earlier, if I consider this to be the present state, then this will be the next state. If I consider this to be the present state, this would be the next state. So in similar manner, that is why I have represented here xt is equal to the state variable before the arrival of the clock pulse, and xt plus 1 is a state variable after the arrival of the synchronizing clock pulse. Now you might be wondering why we are studying all these things when we have already understood what is the present state and the next state in while studying the counters. Now it is very much essential here, because when we draw the FSMs, we should know which is the present state and which is the next state. For example, the one which I showed you earlier, wherein the opening of the gate in the railway station when you place the coin, you would be in any one of the states at one particular time. It's only when you apply a clock pulse, or it's only when you put the coin in, then you move to the next state, that is the unlock state. So it is very much essential here to know which is the present state and which is the next state. This is just notation purpose that I have considered that xt and xt plus 1, but in general, if I have to tell you, if I consider this to be the present state, this will be the next state. If I consider this to be the present state, this would be the next state. With the example, let me explain you as to how we can have the present state and the next state. So here you have the state machine, which is realized using two flip-flops which are denoted as F1 and F2, and two state variables can have 4 states. That is because, if you remember, I explained you the relationship between the state variables and the states. 2 to the power x is equal to y. So if I am considering say 4 state variables, then I can have a maximum of 2 to the power 4 means 16 states. So in a similar manner, in this particular case, if I am considering 2 state variables, x will be equal to 2 and y will be equal to 2 to the power 2 will be equal to 4. So that is why you can see that we are having a total of 4 combinations for the 2 flip-flops 0 0, 0 1, 1 0, 1 1. And for an instance, the present state, say I consider it to be 0 0, then on the arrival of the clock pulse, I can jump to say 0 1. In a similar manner, I can consider I'm jumping from 0 1 to 1 1, 1 0 to 1 1, 1 0 to 1 0, or 1 1 to 0 0. This is just an example that is given. So what this example basically tells is that every possible state can be both a present state or a next state depending on the time. For example, as I mentioned, when I applied the clock pulse 0 0, I will be moving to the next state 0 1. So this 0 1 could be my present state in the second case. So I could be jumping from 0 1 to 1 1. Okay. So now my 1 1 will be actually it is supposed to be the next state, but it could be the present state right now. Then from 1 1 I could be going to 0 0 and so on. So every possible state, as we have seen earlier, every possible state can be both the present state or the next state depending upon the time. So let us get into the more detailing part, that is the state diagram, the finite state machine that we have seen. So we had states there, we had arcs there, we have seen the transitions, but we have not understood as to what each of them mean. So let us go into the state diagram. So state diagram basically is a graphical representation of a sequential circuit where individual states are represented by a circle with an identifying symbol that is located inside. So here you can see as an example, this is my state which is represented by a circle with an identifying symbol located inside. which is represented as S. This is just an example. To be more clear and very precise to make you understand, if you remember, I had drawn the state diagram here, right? So this is my one state which indicates the symbol, or which has the symbol which will identify which state it belongs to. So this state is a locked state. Okay. So this particular circle with an identifying symbol will be also called as the graph node. And the changes from state to state is indicated by the directed arcs, and the input condition that causes state change to occur and the resulting output signals will be returned adjacent to the directed arcs. So if I'm considering these two states which are represented by a circle, this will be the directed arc, and this X corresponds to the either the input condition that caused the change or the output condition that caused the change, and this arc is called as the graph edge. So there are two things that you need to remember when you draw the state diagram. Mainly you will be having the graph node and the graph edge, and this graph node and the graph edge will indicate the various states, and this will indicate the various transitions that are going to occur. Now, we did understand regarding the Mealy and the Moore model. So let us see what is the difference between the state machine notations for the Mealy model and for the Moore model. So here I have taken an example of a symbol notation for one input, one output Mealy sequential circuit. So X corresponds to the input variable, Y corresponds to the output variable, A and B are the symbols representing the different states, X, Y indicates the input and the output. So in this particular example, the next state, okay, if I'm starting from here, the next state can be A or it could be changing to B depending upon the input X. If X is equal to 0, because if X is equal to 0, I will indicate that as X bar. If X is equal to 0, then the machine will remain in the same state, that it will make a transition from A to A. If X is equal to 1, it will change to state B. That means it will change from A to B because X is equal to 1. So similarly, if I have to explain further, if you are in state B and if X is equal to 1, you will be moving back to the same state. So from B you will be moving back to B itself. Whereas if X is equal to 0, then you will switch from B to A. That is why you can see it is denoted as X bar slash Y. So what is important to be noted here is that the output in this particular Mealy model is a function of both the present state and the input variables. So you can see it is a function of the present state and the input variable. When I explained you the Mealy model, I specified the transitions based upon the value of X. Either X is 0 or X is equal to 1. So in the Mealy model, the output is a function of the present state and the input variables. Now another example if I have to give for the Mealy model, you can see that here we have another bigger state diagram that we consider, wherein we have 4 states, and these 4 states, instead of representing them as A, B, C, D, I have represented in terms of 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So it is not mandatory that always the state variables have to be represented in terms of alphabets. You can also represent them in terms of binary representation. So here you can see when you are in state 0 0 and the input is 0, you are going to remain in the same state. Whereas when the input is 1, you will be switching to the next state, that is 0 1. Now on application of input 0 and you are in the state 0 1, you will be moving back to 0 0. Else if you apply input equal to 1, you will be moving to 1 1. So this is how you are going to proceed with the remaining states. So generally we can say that when you are at state S1 and you apply an input I, we get an output O and proceed to the state S2. So this is one of the simple representation if I have to explain you the Mealy model. So important thing to be remembered here is that the output will be a function of the present state and the input variables. Now coming to the state machine notation and the state diagram for the Moore model. So in this case, the very important thing that you need to remember here is that the output is dependent on only the present state and represents the output variable inside the state circle or with an arc terminating in the output variable value. So here when you are at state S1 with an output O1 and you apply an input I, we will proceed to the state S2 with an output O2. So here you can see you have two states, okay. Basically the two states are represented as 0 and you have a 1. Then this is the output, that is 0 and 1. This is the state. First one is the state. That is why here if I have to compare, this is represented as S1 and S2. So similarly this is S1 and this is S2. So 0 and 1 are the states and slash the second term corresponds to the output. So this example says that you are going to have the state 0 and if you are having the output is equal to 0, that will occur when the input is going to be equal to 0 0 and 1 1. Similarly, you will change from this particular state to this state when you have the input to be equal to 0 1 and 1 0. And when you are in state 1 and having an output 1, if you apply input equal to 0 0 and 1 1, you are going to go back to the same state. Else if you apply an input 0 1 or 1 0, you will be going to state 0 with an output 0. So let us better understand regarding the Moore model when we apply it to a JK flip-flop. So there are two methods which can demonstrate the output variable notation for a Moore circuit using the JK flip-flop. This is one way of representing, this is another way of representing. This one way of representing, the first one we have already seen in the previous case, that is this particular way. So the same thing has been repeated here, whereas this is another way of representation. Now how we have obtained this notation and how we have got these outputs is dependent upon the truth table of the JK flip-flop. For the JK flip-flop, we are going to consider the input and the excitation variables, and Q is both the output and the state variable. If you remember, in the Moore model we have state and the output variable. So that is why you should remember that in this particular case Q will act both like the output and the state variable. So you have JK 0 0 no change, 0 1 is 0, 1 0 is 1, 1 1 is output is Q bar. So here I am considering the two states, okay, that is 0 and 1, and I am denoting it as A and B. So if you observe, output is 0, which is represented here, output is 1, which is represented here. This is equivalent to saying Q is equal to 0, Q is equal to 1. So when I am obtaining an output 0, this is possible for the situation when J and K is equal to 0 0 and 0 1. So the transition for it to occur and the output to yield the same value can occur only for a case when J and K is equal to 0 0 and J and K is equal to 0 1. Whereas if you want the output to be equal to 1 and you want to switch back to the same state, then that can occur only when the output is or the input is 0 0 and you have 1 0 case. So to obtain an output equal to 1, either J and K input should be equal to 0 0 or 1 0. For the remaining two cases, that is, if you want to have an output change from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0, that can occur only when you have 0 1, that is, you want to switch from 1 to 0 means you need to apply an input 0 1 or you need to apply an input 1 1. So that is what is indicated here. Or if you want to switch from A to B, that is possible only if you apply an input 1 0. You can see that only in that case you can reset. So 1 0 or 1 1. The same thing has been illustrated here, but the difference is here, instead of writing the output Q equal to 0 inside the state, they have represented it outside. So Q is equal to 0 and Q is equal to 1. So the same explanation applies to this one as well. The main important thing to be remembered here is that this corresponds to the input. So here in this particular state diagram, these values 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1 corresponds to the values of the inputs J and K. And we are writing the states and its output within the node, okay, within the graph node, or we can also represent in this particular form. Now coming to the next set, that is, we have already seen the Mealy state diagram and the Moore state diagram, and the sequential circuits in general can also be represented by a mix of both Mealy and Moore notation. So here is one example which shows the mixed Mealy and the Moore notation, and this particular state diagram has 4 states and they are represented as A, B, C and D. So we require 2 state variables, that is 2 flip-flops. So one input variable is X, the output variables are Y and Z. The output variable Y will be used to denote the Mealy notation and the output variable Z will be used to represent the Moore notation. So in this particular case, the output Y is true when the machine is in the state A or in the state B. When the machine is in the state A or in the state B and the input variable X is asserted. Asserted meaning it is given a logic 1. The output variable Z the output variable z is asserted, that means it is equal to logic 1, only when the machine is in state C, independent of the input variable. So the operation of this particular state machine can be explained in much detail if I am going to consider the starting point to be the state A. Okay, let me consider this to be the starting point. So instead of using the words assertion and de-assertion, that is logic 0 and logic 1, let me directly say x is equal to 0 or y is equal to 0 so that you can better understand. So I am in state A and I am going to apply x is equal to 0. Then the machine will remain in the same state A. You can see that is why you have x dash here. You have applied an input x is equal to 0. So when I am in A and giving x is equal to 0, I will remain in state A itself. And this is indicated by a directed arc that starts and stops with the state A. Both y and z are 0. You can see y bar, z bar. So when I apply the next clock edge occurring after x is equal to 1, what happens is that a transition will occur from A to B. Because x is equal to 1, that is I have applied a clock pulse and x is equal to 1, I will move from A to B. So in this case the output y will be equal to 1. Okay, output y is equal to 1 but z is equal to 0. So x is equal to 1, y is equal to 1 but z is equal to 0. So next what I can do is, from B I have two directed arcs. You can see that. From B I have one arc that goes to D, another arc that goes to C. So there are two possibilities in this case. If x is equal to 0, we will produce z is equal to 1. That is, when x is equal to 0, which is denoted as x bar here, I will be producing an output z is equal to 1. But if I am in state B, x is equal to 1 and I am moving to state D, then z will be equal to 0. And if x is equal to true, that is x is equal to 1, then you can see that y will be equal to 1. Whereas in this case x is equal to 0, y is equal to 0. Now coming to the state C, you have already reached state C. If x is equal to 1, then you will move to D, and when x is equal to 0, that is this one, you will move to A. So in this case what happens is that this machine will change its state, that is it will change from z is equal to 1 to z is equal to 0 when the transition occurs from C to A. So next we were in state D, and when we were in state D, if you can see there are two directed arcs, one that goes to itself and another arc that goes to A. So if x is equal to 0, then you will be going to D to A. If x is equal to 1, then you will be remaining in the same state, that is D. Whereas if you observe the variable y, in both the cases, either if you are making a transition to the same state or a transition to the state A, the value of y is equal to 0. So the main thing to be remembered here is that you can see this particular state diagram, which is a combination of both the mealy outputs and the more outputs. So the more outputs shows you the C by Z, A by Z bar, and so on, whereas the mealy outputs correspond to the way we have represented the input and output. Okay, if you can try to relate the more state diagram and the mealy state diagram. In the mealy state diagram, we had the states and then we represented the arc as a combination of input and the output variables. Whereas if you remember the Moore model, we represented the state diagram wherein we had the state and the output which was represented within the node, and only the input was represented in the directed arcs. In the combination of the mealy and the Moore notation, we are focusing only on the mealy outputs and the Moore outputs. That is, we are focusing only on the way the outputs are denoted. So if you can see, this will correspond to input slash output, whereas this will correspond to state slash output. That is why clearly I have mentioned Y corresponds to mealy notation and Z corresponds to the Moore notation, and both of these are output variables. So in this way, if you can segregate Y and Z, that is two output variables, it is possible for us to combine both mealy and Moore state diagrams. Now we can also have partial state diagrams instead of having a complete state diagram. So here is one such example wherein you can show the partial state diagrams. So here you see you have a single input variable, that is X, and you can make a transition A to B depending on the value of X. If X is equal to 0, you are moving to itself. X is equal to 1, you are changing the state. Next, you have a single input variable, but you have two states. That is a total of 3 states. That is, from A either you will move to B or from A you will move to C depending upon the input variable. X is equal to 1, you will change or make a transition from A to B. If X is equal to 0, you will make a transition from A to C. So this basically means that exit is equal to 1. That means you have one directed arc or one transition that is going to a different state. Whereas here you have two transitions going to two different states. So that is why it is mentioned at exit 2. The third partial state diagram wherein you have two input variables X and Y showing 4 next state transitions. So you have a total of 4 states A, B, C, D. The two input variables are X and Y, and depending on the value of X and Y, you are going to make a transition either to A itself or to B or C or D. So 0, 0 itself, 0, 1 B, 1, 0 C, 1, 1 is D. Another type of a partial state diagram is where you have two input variables X and Y, and you are going to have a transition depending upon whether the value of X and Y is 0, 0 and 1, 1. So 0, 0 means it is going to make a transition to itself, or if it is 1, 1, it's going to make a transition from A to B. The next type is wherein you have two input variables and next state 2. Now what this means is that you are going to have a combination of the two input variables. It can be of the form 0, 0 plus 0, 1. Then you will make a transition to A itself. Else you will be moving to B, wherein the transition will be dependent on the input 1, 0 and 1, 1. So rarely you get to see these kind of partial state diagrams. Mostly in our tutorial we will be focusing on the complete state diagrams, wherein you have only X and Y, or say in simple words you have either single input variable or two input variables, but you will not have any ANDing of the input variables or the sum of the input variables. Now coming to the simplified approach. So here you have understood that from the several partial state diagrams with different state transitions, what we observe is that if the large number of input variables are there, it's convenient for us to indicate only the asserted conditions. Asserted conditions meaning logic 1, and that will cause the state or the output variable to change. So the unspecified input combinations are assumed to leave the state machine in its present state. So to explain that in much detail, let me consider this particular state diagram. So here you can see that the change from state A to state B occurs only when X is equal to 1, and if X is equal to 0, the machine remains in state A, independent of the variable Y and Z. So that is not being specified in this particular state diagram, because it is understood. This is a simplified way of representing the state diagram. So we are going to show transitions to the next state only. We are not going to show the transitions which are occurring to the same state. Similarly, if I have to proceed further, when I am in state B, which is the present state, the machine will return to state A when X y bar is true, or go to the state C when YZ bar is true. So all other combinations will produce no state change. So this way what we can do is we can greatly reduce the complexity of the state diagram without sacrificing the understanding of the state machine operation. If I am going to represent the state diagram in this way, what it means is that the transition to other states are only specified. For all other cases, the transition occurs to itself. That means it is making a transition from, say, state A to state A itself. So its condition is only true for these cases, that is, the transition will occur to the next state, else it will make a transition to itself. So to proceed towards the next state machine notation, we have the state diagram, which we have already seen. Further, we need to understand what is a state table. So state tables basically are the tabular forms of the state diagrams, and the present state column, that is this one, will list all the possible states in the machine. So a series of next state columns will exist, one for each input combination. And the purpose of this state table is to indicate the state transition. So if you observe this particular state diagram, you can see that there are 4 states A, B, C and D, and 2 input variables are involved, that is X and Y, and the output is Z. So this is basically a representation of the Mealy model, not the Moore model. It's a representation of the Mealy model. So with 4 states, 2 input variables and 1 output variable, this particular state diagram can be easily simplified and represented in the form of a state table. So these particular states we have written here, present state A, B, C, D, and you have the next state which is X, Y / Z. X, Y corresponds to the inputs, Z corresponds to the outputs. Now how this particular state table is obtained, you need to focus on the state diagram. You are in the state A, okay, you are in the state A and you are applying X is equal to 0. If X is equal to 0, you are going to remain in the state A itself. So if you observe the state diagram and the next state table, you can see that the X, Y are two input variables, and the two input variables can have a total of 4 combinations. So 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. Okay. Now X is equal to 0 means you will move to the same state. You can see here X is 0, X is 0. So when X is 0, from present state you will be moving to the next state A. At this particular point, Z is not being specified because Z is the output. Z is not being specified, so I have considered Z to be equal to 0. Even in this case, X is equal to 0. Forget about Y. Y we are not bothered. Z is equal to 0 because Z is not been specified. Now, when X is equal to 1, that is here, you make a transition to B. When X is equal to 1, that is this one as well as this one, you make a transition from A to B. Z again is not specified, so it is 0. Even in this case, Z is not specified, so it is 0. Whereas, when you are in state B, if Y is equal to 0, you're going to the same state. So, if you observe, this corresponds to XY. This is also XY, XY, XY. So here Y is equal to 0. You are in the present state P. Then you will move to the next state B. Z is 0. Okay. Similarly, if you have in this case B to B, when Y is equal to 0, you will make a transition, but Z is not specified, so that is why it is equal to 0. Whereas when Y is equal to 1, you will make a transition to C. So present state is B, you will move to C when Y is equal to 1. Present state is B, you will move to C when Y is equal to 1. Again in this case, Z is not specified, so that is why Z is equal to 0. Now next let me consider you are in the present state C. In this case, you are having a transition that occurs within itself, that is X and Y, X bar Y, X bar Y bar, X Y bar. So basically you have 0 0, you have 0 1, 1 0, 1 1. So C 0 0, you've moved to A. Z is not specified, so it is 0. 0 1, you've moved to D, and again Z is not specified, so it is 0. 1 1, you move to C. Z is not specified, so it is 0. Whereas you have 1 0, you move to B. Z is not specified, so it is 0. Finally, if I consider the present state to be equal to D, now I need to observe what will be the condition of X and Y, that is my input variables, and then decide where I am going to make a transition. So here you can observe 0 0, Z is equal to 0. So you are in D, input is 0 0, output is 0, you are going to make a transition to A. Same thing, or 1 1, Z is equal to 1, you are going to make a transition to A. So here if you observe, since Z was specified, that is why you had A and then Z to be equal to 1. Whereas for the remaining cases, that is 0, 1 and 1, 0, you are going to make a transition to D itself, but Z is not specified, so it is equal to 0. So this way, from the state diagram, we can generate the state table. So next we have the transition table. So the state diagrams and the state table will represent the states using symbols or names, and the creation of a transition table will require that specific state variable values be assigned to each state. And the assignment of values to the state variables is called as making the state assignment. The state assignment will link the abstract state symbols to actual state variable binary values. I know this looks like a very abstract definition, but in simple words, let me explain how we devise this transition table. So here I am considering the two flip-flops with 4 combination of the states 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. I'm going to name it as A, B, C, D. And this is the state table which I have obtained earlier. If you can recall, from the state diagram I obtained the state table. So the same state table has been used here. So what I'm going to do is, for this particular two flip-flops FA and FB, I'm going to use this particular assignment A, B, C, D, and I'm going to construct the transition table. Now the transition table can be constructed based on the state assignment, and this transition table will illustrate the change that occurs in the state variables as the state machine sequences from one to the next. So if you observe here, you need to compare these two things, as well as you need to compare this transition table, how it has been generated. So my present state is 0, 0, that is basically A. Okay, in this case it is A. So if you compare, I can have the next state to be 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. That means I can have A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. So looking at the state table, what I'm doing is, instead of representing this in terms of A, B, C, D, I am representing it as 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. So I am at A, I am jumping towards A with Z is equal to 0. Okay. Just look at the way it is represented. I am at B, I am jumping towards B with Z is equal to 0. I am at C, I am jumping towards A with Z is equal to 0. I am at D, jumping towards A with Z is equal to 0. So if you compare the state table with the transition table, it is exactly the same. Its only difference is that what we are doing is, we are going to assign the states in this particular case. So assignment of values to the state variables is called as the state assignment, and this will give us the transition table. So remember, this state table was obtained from the state diagram that was present here, and from the state diagram we obtained the state table, and from the state table what we are doing is, we are assigning some specific states. We know that A, B, C, D is there, and for these A, B, C, D we are going to assign the state variables, and these state variables will be used in the transition table. So basically this transition table will illustrate the changes that occur in the state variables as the state machine sequences from one state to the next. So one major observation that you need to do here is that at each new clock pulse, the input variables X and Y will be evaluated. So here you can see X and Y, that is 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. and Z. So each of this X and Y will be evaluated at each and every clock pulse. If a change of the state is required, then the appropriate flip-flop output must change, indicating the state transition.